Trying to hide defects when selling your home is the dumbest financial decision you can make as a seller, and it's happening everywhere. I've been selling homes for years, and I've watched sellers destroy their own deals by thinking they can outsmart today's buyers and the inspectors. But the real truth is, what seems like a clever cover-up today becomes a lawsuit tomorrow, costing you tens of thousands in emergency repairs and legal fees and deals that just fall apart at the worst possible moment. So today I'm going to expose 10 most common hiding tactics that backfire spectacularly. But more important, I am going to reveal the one strategy at the end of this video that actually gets sellers more money while keeping them completely protected. Stick around, because what I share in the final couple minutes could save you from becoming another cautionary tale. Let's get to it. Let me tell you what I've actually witnessed in the field. Like, for example, the seller who literally duct taped a piece of drywall over a hole in the wall and hung a picture over it. Or the one who put a potted plant strategically in the corner to hide water damage. These aren't stories, guys. They're real disasters. You don't want to do it. I had to help clean these up. And every single one of these clever tactics ended up costing the seller way more than if they'd just been honest from the start. We're really going to get real here, but what actually happens when you try these tricks. So you don't want to do it. Let me start off with the first one. I call it the paint disaster. I've seen people put fresh paint over water damage and not fix the water damage. For example, I walk into a listing appointment and there's a beautiful pristine white ceiling. You can see it painted white and a little different color white because something just happened right there. You can tell, especially if the sunlight hits it. I look at it suspiciously. I ask the seller, did you recently paint this ceiling? Oh, we just had a touch-up, they say, avoiding eye contact or, whatever. And then we have the inspection. The buyer's inspector takes one look at the ceiling with his moisture meter and goes, yep, here's your problem. The touch-up wasn't covering a massive water stain, and guess what? The leak was still happening. Now, the deal, it almost fell apart. The sellers ended up paying for emergency roof repairs, professional water damage remediation, and gave the buyers a $5,000 credit. It only should have been a $500 disclosure, but it came out to be like an $8,000 nightmare in total. So when I see fresh paint, I become a detective. I figure out, why you painted it. If there's any water damage, we'll fix it properly, document everything. And guess what? What happens here? Buyers actually see you as a responsible and thorough seller. I have most of my sellers, they disclose a properly repaired roof leak. And the buyer said, wow, they really took care of this place. You want to do that. They love when you disclose things. That's why I do the pre-home inspection. I have that in my Home Selling Sharks book right here. You can get it on Amazon. Second mistake is the masking mistake, such as masking odors. One house I went into, it smelled like the Bath and Body Works store. Just felt like I had an explosion in my nose. I have a really sensitive nose. There were plug-ins in every outlet, candles on every surface. Those car air fresheners hanging from light fixtures. It was red flag city as far as something's going on. But they had 3 cats and a dog, and apparently thought the vanilla cupcake scent would magically erase years of pet accidents, but it didn't. I told them we had to do something about it. They didn't want to do anything, so the first showing, buyers are literally saying, what are they hiding under all this perfume? And they started opening closets, checking corners, and basically turned into Sherlock Holmes looking for the source. So I always learn to trust my nose and ask the hard questions up front. Do you have pets? Are you smoking in the house? You ever had any water issues? And then we bring in professionals, carpet cleaners. There's odor elimination specialists. The ozone machines does a great job. Just whatever it takes to get the root of the problem and disclose it. I had one seller who spent $800 on professional pet odor treatment. The house sold for $15,000 over asking because buyers could actually envision themselves living there without gagging on the smell. And we actually disclosed it as well. Next mistake is, I call it the strategic furniture placement. I had sellers who, going through the house and didn't tell me they arranged their furniture like they were playing the world's most expensive game of hide and seek. They had this giant armoire, they were blocking a wall crack, and one of their couches were positioned at a weird angle. I was wondering why. They were hiding scuffed floors and a dining room table that made no sense until you realized it was hiding a heating vent that hadn't worked in years. So when we have our inspection day, the buyer's inspector starts moving furniture around, and then they reveals another problem, this problem, that problem. It was like a real estate horror movie. Every reveal was worse than the last. So after that, I did a furniture audit before I list the house. I literally move everything, take photos of what we're working with, and they make a decision either to fix it, price it accordingly, and just own it. The crazy part is when sellers are upfront about minor issues, buyers, they don't care. I had one seller disclose some hardwood scratches from their dog, and the buyer said, great, we have a dog too, no big deal. So when you disclose, buyers feel much better about it, and you can give them a slight credit for it. Number 4 is the electrical hazard with extension cord madness, I call it. This gives me a lot of anxiety. I showed up at a house where the sellers had more extension cords than a rock concert. It had outlets that didn't work, breakers that were kept tripping, ceiling fan was held up by what looked like thoughts and prayers. It was bad. What the seller's brilliant solution was extension cords everywhere and a note that said, please don't use the kitchen outlets and the living room lights at the same time. Like, who does that? Well, the electrical inspector took one look at this and said, this is a fire hazard. I'm recommending a full financial evaluation before closing. Well, we could have done that ahead of time. That's why I insist on a pre-listing inspection and electrical checks for any house built before 1990. Electrical work is expensive. What's even more expensive is if your house burning down or a buyer walking away because they're scared of dying in an electrical fire. I had one seller invest $3,500 in updating their electrical panel. The house sold to the first buyer who saw it because they felt safe and confident with the new electrical box. Okay, number 5 is the structural patch job. I had a seller that covered foundation settling cracks with wood filler and paint. My inspector found it in like 2 seconds. And the cost to fix it properly was like $12,000. And the cost if they disclosed it up front is about $5,000. That's it, and a price reduction. That's what you would do. That's why we do our pre-home inspections to get that $5,000 number, not the $12,000 number. Number 6 is the HVAC hide and seek, I call it. The seller only wanted to show the house on perfect weather days. Like a July inspection in 95-degree heat revealed that the AC hadn't worked in 2 years. Well, the buyers wanted a credit, and they got it. They should have disclosed this from the very start. Even in the seller's disclosure, they didn't disclose that it wasn't working. You need to disclose everything because it's going to come out. That's why we had the pre-home inspection. You will not be able to get away with it. And frankly, those are not the type of sellers I like to work with anyway. You can kind of see them right from the get-go. Number 7 is the pest cover-up. I had a seller who painted over termite damage. And when the termite guy came over, he found the active termites and the cover damage. It should have only been a $1,200 treatment. It came out to be a $6,000 structural repair nightmare. You always want to find these things before the buyer does so then you can fix it and do it right and show them what you did. It won't cost as much money. Number 8 is the plumbing magic show. Low water pressure fixed with high pressure shower heads. The inspector turned on all faucets at once and the water barely trickled. The buyers negotiated $4,000 off of repiping because the seller did not disclose this. Number 9 is the roof illusion. One seller had missing shingles and they replaced it with temporary patches. It was disclosed that they did that. And after the first rainstorm, after closing, new owners called with a flooded living room. There was a lawsuit because the seller did not disclose that they were temporary panels. And number 10, the HOA secret. I had sellers that got away with not mentioning that there was a $50,000 special assessment coming due. They found out during attorney review and they walked. The house sat on the market for 4 additional months. They never told us about it, and we ask every seller who has an HOA if there's an assessment. So what sellers really don't understand about today's buyers, they're really smart, they're suspicious, and they have Google, and now they have Gemini. They watch the same YouTube videos you do. They know the tricks, and they see fresh paint, patches, excessive air fresheners, or furniture arranged weird. Their brains immediately go with, what are they hiding? That's the main thing my buyers ask our buyer agents is, what are they hiding? So it's important to establish a trust factor, and I've done many informal surveys. I do after with my buyers over the years. I would sit with them after they bought a house, and they really said the most important thing is they'd rather buy a house with disclosed issues than one that seems too perfect, because perfect houses makes them a little nervous, like those remodels that these investors do. They just do cheaply. The modern buyer today, they bring their own inspectors. They research everything online. They trust their gut over your candles, and they assume that you're hiding something if you're trying too hard. But like on the flip side, when sellers are transparent, buyers relax. They stop looking for problems and start imagining their future in your home. That's where the magic happens. So that's why I do a pre-home inspection. I disclose everything, this problem, that problem. It's so much easier that way. Okay, here's the secret sauce I've been telling you about that actually works. This one strategy that really, really works the best, I call it the honesty tour. So before we list, I walk through your house, one of my team members do, like a buyer's inspector, before the inspector comes in, and point out every single thing that might be a concern. Then we actually get the home pre-inspected, and we fix things, or we disclose everything, and then we get it priced into the price, or we give a credit, make sure everybody knows about it. And then I have what's called the documentation station, where every repair gets documented. We put it up in the Google Drive, I have a link to it. They have all the receipts and everything, and everything's documented. And then we have the home health record that shows buyers that you're a responsible owner who fixes problems properly, okay? They have access to the Google Drive, access to all the information. And then we price it accordingly. Sometimes it's better to price your home $10,000 lower and disclose issues than to price higher and hope nobody notices. Guess what strategy gets more offers? Of course, the lower one. So last year I had a seller with a 20-year-old roof that needed replacement. So we priced the house $15,000 below market and disclosed the roof situation. We got 8 offers, 6 above asking, and buyers appreciated the honesty and factored the roof in their budgets before making offers. If you compare that to the other seller, not my client, who tries to hide roof issues, they might get an offer, say $30,000 under asking after the buyer discovered the problems during the inspection. You don't want them to do that at the inspection. You want them to disclose, have the inspection, get it all out there. Basically, there's a lot of legal issues here. You know, hiding defects isn't just unethical, it can be illegal. I've had a seller get sued for $45,000 after hiding foundation issues. I had another seller face criminal fraud charges for concealing major structural problems. They didn't tell them there was a structural issue. And you have to disclose, if your insurance company, you have too many insurance hits on your insurance, because when the buyers try to get insurance, they won't be able to get it if you have too many claims. Because you do have a paper trail problem here. Everything leaves evidence. Permit records, insurance claims, contractor estimates, it all comes out. And buyers' attorneys are really good at finding this stuff, so you really want to watch. My protection plan is full disclosure. It's not just moral, it's legal armor. And when you disclose everything on your seller's disclosure and your seller's inspection, you're just being protected. And you hide things, you're exposed to unlimited liability. So no hiding of things. Get it all out there. So the bottom line is that, you know, what viral videos miss is the real estate is a relationship built on trust. And when you try to hide problems, you're not just deceiving buyers, you're destroying trust. In today's connected world, that destroyed trust follows you around. And when you're transparent, something magical happens. Buyers trust you. Other agents trust you. And the word spreads that you're someone who deals honestly. That reputation becomes your biggest marketing asset. Me, I promise my sellers, I don't help you hide problems. I help you handle them strategically. Face every issue head on, create solutions that work, and market your home with confidence. Because what I've learned is that sellers who make the most money aren't the ones with perfect houses. They're the ones with honest agents who know how to turn transparency into trust and trust into sales. So the next time you're tempted to hide something, ask yourself, am I solving a problem or creating a bigger one? And then call me, and let's solve it in the right way. If you need an agent to sell in your area, I can find you somebody, work with you, get your room by room done, do a virtual tour with you, and find out exactly what you need. But if you're ready to go deeper, I want you to watch this next video. It's called Buyers Are Out, Sellers Are Stuck, Here's Why. Discover why homes are sitting stale that buyers really want and how to outsmart the 2025 market with 8 shark fighting strategies and my model home mindset. You gotta watch it.